everyone, it is Jillian here from Connections Early Years Family Center, and it is time for another Friday morning outdoor learning video. Today we are going to be talking about a really fun topic, which is animal tracks, where to look for animal tracks, how to identify animal tracks, and what this can tell us about animal behavior. But some of you might already be thinking, why are we indoors for an outdoor learning video? And that's because as we do our outdoor learning video today, I want us to start to think about the idea that learning about the outside and about our natural environment doesn't just have to happen during those periods of time when we're actually outdoors. It would be a bit like only thinking about the earth on Earth Day. And that's not what we want. We want it to be something that we always have either in the back of our minds or maybe more prominently in the front of our minds. But it's something that we want to always be thinking about and always learning about with our little ones, so that it's something that they have some good knowledge of and that they're able to make connections to other parts of their lives with this knowledge, and not just kind of have it in a vacuum, so to speak. So with that said, we're going to talk about animal tracks and how to make this a topic that you can explore very thoroughly, doing both indoor and outdoor activities kind of throughout the day, if you want to make it a whole day-long exploration or something you do over a couple days, even a couple weeks. Completely up to you, but here's going to be a couple different ideas about how to explore animal tracks. So the first thing that you can do, as you notice, I have some lovely books lined up here, and these are all books that have been available in our Connections to Go packages, which you can always schedule a pickup for by giving us a call. So some of you might have received these books already, or maybe you've seen them, or maybe you will actually receive them soon if you're participating in that package program. But all of these books talk about animals. So we have animals at night, animals in the jungle, animals in the ocean. And the reason that these are all displayed here is because a great lead-in to talking about animal tracks is to read an animal book. And you can do this in the morning when you wake up, maybe after you've had some breakfast and you're still a little bit sleepy. Maybe a fun way to introduce the topic for today would be to read a book. And again, I'm not going to read a full book to you. We have a lovely story time that goes on once a week, so please tune into that. But one example is reading a book like this, I Am Jane Goodall. So this book talks about Jane Goodall, who worked with wild animals and studied wild animals. So if your child is interested in science and animals, this is also a great book. This one's for a child who's a little older, 5 or 6, or more advanced in reading. But again, you can pick your book and scale it to your child's age and ability. And this book is just a fun introduction about animals and observing them. So here she's observing monkeys and different types of monkeys and different ways that monkeys behave. It's got some great pictures, lots of nice art, so it's definitely very engaging. But this would just be a fun way to start thinking about exploring different types of animals, how they behave, and also really focusing on that idea of observing. So once you've done that, maybe you want to start looking at this. So here we have a sheet with different types of animal tracks. So this one is animals that you might find in Windsor-Essex. I just found this online as a free printable. I did not make it. But it has big and small dogs, house cats, deer, rats, mice, possums, skunks, raccoons, squirrels, rabbits, and weasels, which I'm not sure exactly how local they are to Windsor-Essex, but you might definitely see them in your travels through Ontario. So for all of these, they're probably going to be a very new experience for your child. Maybe they haven't noticed, or maybe they have, depending on, again, age and interest. But a good way to do this would just be to look at this in the comfort of your home and let your child really explore it. Maybe they want to touch it, trace it, maybe they want to color it. But it's a really good way to introduce the topic before you go outside and start changing your environment. Because if there's one thing that we've learned about little ones, it's that younger children often do best learning, actually children and people of any age really, if they learn something and see something and get to experience something more than once. So with that said, it would be a great way to maybe do that in the morning, take a look at it, and then bring that paper with you outside to continue repeating this process of learning about animal tracks, now in a second environment and through the day, which is exactly what we're going to do. We're going to go look at a couple different environments to see what type of animal tracks we can find, whether that be in the snow or the mud. And we're going to take a look, so join us for that. Again, a little bit hard to make out. Sometimes it's easier to see in real life than it is on the camera. But if you can tell, we found some nice goose tracks where the geese kind of congregate along the riverside occasionally in the winter. So that's one example of where you can look for some aquatic animal footprints during the winter. And also do our sculpture garden walk all over again. When you're looking for goose or duck prints, you're going to look for a very distinctive web shape. Sometimes they'll have lines through them, sometimes not, depending on if you're looking for duck feet or geese feet. Also, while you're along the river, you might get to watch as the ice goes by very quickly as it's starting to melt and move downriver. So that's also a fun little side adventure you can have while out looking for animal tracks. One good place to look for animal tracks is on frozen rivers and streams, because the animals will sometimes come here looking for fresh, unfrozen water to drink from. When you're looking for these tracks on the ice, be careful that the ice is actually frozen and is able to support your weight safely, just to make sure that you are being safe in your adventure and in your quest for animal tracks. But here we have some example of some cross-country ski marks, some human footprints, and a large set of dog tracks, which are quite large, quite likely just a dog, but possibly a coyote, because there are coyotes in this area. Another good place to be out and about looking for different types of animal tracks is here in Ojibwe prairies and just these other habitats that might have different species than in our urban settings. So you might see some deer here, maybe some coyotes. You can bring your footprints with you for your guide. And another interesting thing that you might be able to find here, aside from a lot of deer footprints, is already this week we've seen a great horned owl flying through here, as well as a couple of deer wallows. So you can look for big almost impressions in the ground where the deer have stopped to lie down or take a rest. So we're going to see what else we can find. No animal tracks in this shot, but some really great morning sun. So if you remember our morning sun challenge, trying to get outdoors and get some sunlight before 12 o'clock hits and the morning is officially done, this is one more great way to maybe go out and get some sunlight, because it's great for regulating our sleep as well as our entire body schedule. So definitely give it a try here in the prairies. Here is one example of something interesting you might find through here. It's a path kind of going through the reeds, but you can see some footprints going through, be those dog or coyote, not quite sure. But you can tell that this is a pretty typical runway either for deer or other animals to kind of cut across this ditch. So it's something else that we can observe when walking through this type of habitat. Might be a little difficult to tell here, but you can tell that these are deer tracks for two reasons. One, the shape matches our paper, but also you can usually tell by how they're shaped in the snow, because deer have long, thin legs. It's usually a print followed by almost like a cylinder shape of missing snow above it where their legs have gone through before actually making that footprint in the ground. So that's something else that we can look out for when trying to find our deer tracks. So we're not having a lot of luck finding a lot of animal tracks today, probably because the snow is melting so quickly, and as it melts, a lot of those animal tracks disappear, of course. But another fun thing that you can do while looking for animal tracks is, again, learning about animal habitats. So here is being able to walk through these taller plants and get to observe something that you probably don't see a lot in our typical urban setting. So one more reason to get outside and look for animal tracks, because you will always find some other things well in that process. All right, so we have come back from going to explore 3 different habitats by the water, in the woods, and in the prairie. looking for different types of animal tracks and even finding some very interesting animals as we went. But most of you are probably thinking, why isn't this video done? Usually we go outdoors and that's it. Today we have one more extension activity. Again, as we mentioned at the beginning of this video, there are so many ways that we can extend our outdoor learning, both indoors and out, to make it a very wholesome and very thorough type of learning and learning experience. So our extension activity is making our own animal tracks. So for this one, you just need a big piece of Bristol board or a big piece of cardboard. Just have your little one draw out whatever type of animal track they want. It can be one that you saw that day. It can be one that you made up. It can be something that ends up like this and it looks halfway like a dog, halfway like a cat, and halfway like a goose, if that's even possible. Just get fun with it, get silly with it, because that is going to be what we're then going to go back outdoors and use to make our own animal tracks in the snow. Because remember, when we're doing our outdoor learning, it's not a chore, it's not something we want to do once a day to check off a list. It's something we should be doing on and off throughout the day, and really enjoying every chance that we get to be outside and to have time spent in fresh air. So, take a little bit of time, draw your shapes, help your young one as you cut it out, because sometimes with the cardboard, the safety scissors just don't work. But once you have it, grab your shapes, grab some tape, and we're going to head back outdoors to make some fun animal tracks. So here we go. Alright, so we are outdoors and we have brought our paper footprints that we made back inside. Maybe you took a little breather, had a snack, but we're back outside in the fresh air. It's even nicer than before. So we're going to do our animal tracks activity. So there are two ways to do this. You could either tape them to a long stick if you don't want to do our next version, which is taping them to your feet. But I'm going to tape these onto my feet, if I can. Duct tape is great for this, so we're just going to use what we have on hand. And for your little ones, it's probably a little bit easier because their feet are probably not as big as mine. But I have my rat footprint here. So that's one foot. And I'm going to have my duck foot on the other one. Okay, so we have taped our animal tracks on, and you're just going to find some nice soft snow. And it's okay if it doesn't work perfectly. You have all the time in the world to try. And you're going to do your animal tracks. If it's not working on your feet, that's okay. Just get down and try it with your hands. Whatever works. It's all about getting back outside and exploring more ways to have fun with animal tracks. As always, we will be having another outdoor video next week, so I hope you take the time to take a look and see what is new. And also don't forget to give us a call for your Connections to Go packages. Coming up in the next couple of weeks, we'll be looking at some springtime activities as it gets warmer and sunnier outdoors. But until it is actually spring and warm, don't forget to wear your winter layers